As you've probably heard, Caroline Kennedy says that she is the best one to represent New York in the Senate after Hillary Clinton steps down. But our next guest says she doesn't have the chops to protect the #1 terrorist target in the world, and he's thinking about running against her in 2010.
Congressman Peter King is with us, a familiar voice, especially on Homeland Security issues when we talk about nationwide. Congressman, first off, are you intimidated by the Kennedy powerhouse, too intimidated to run against her?
No, it's not intimidating. I know the Kennedys pretty well. I don't know Caroline. I know Ted, and I know his nephew Joe, and I know Aunt Jean, who was the ambassador to Ireland. No, listen, they're a formidable force. They can raise money. They have a lot of elements in the media behind them. But no, I think that the stakes are too high for New York, that we have to have someone who knows what's going on, who has a life experience that prepares them for that job.
You say you're basically planning to run against Caroline in 2010. She hasn't been appointed yet. It sounds like you think that's about to happen. Well,
I was afraid, quite frankly, last month, 3 weeks ago, when her name first came out, she was being coronated already, and I didn't want to be left at the starting gate. I wanted to get out there and say, wait a minute, there's a choice here. Now, if it turns out to be someone else, then I'll have to decide what to do. But I believe that Caroline Kennedy is not prepared to be the United States Senator from New York.
So maybe she'd be the best person for you to run against.
In some ways, yes, because it would cause people to focus on the race. There's 2 million more Democrats than Republicans in New York. If it's just a conventional Democratic choice, people may just vote the party line. But if she's out there, there's going to be a lot of coverage on it, a lot of attention focus, and it gives me the chance to show her weaknesses, and as Brian knows, to show what a great guy I am.
Right, absolutely.
I'm soon to learn that.
But I'm fair and balanced. But Congressman, first off, you must have been surprised, like many people, that New York Post interview with Caroline Kennedy, not a problem. The New York Daily News, not a problem. New York Times, it ends up she ends up shutting down the interview and saying, why don't you write for a women's magazine? Where's your crack political team? Okay, what do you think happened here?
Let me just say one thing in defense of Caroline Kennedy, maybe the only time in this campaign that I do it. I think it's a real elitism and arrogance on the part of the New York Times. I think they may have resented the fact that they were lumped in with the Daily News and the New York Post, that they were just one of 3 getting the interview.
Really?
Yeah, I just find... I thought they were being a little unfair to her. Listen, I think she could have given better answers. I think she could have been more versed on the issues. But I just think the Times went out of their way, for some reason, to make her look bad. And I have no use for the New York Times. I think that's really one of these blame America first newspapers. But having said that, I think of the 3, I mean, she did okay in the Daily News, did okay in the Post. Again, I don't think it showed her to be qualified, but really that scornful, condescending tone from the New York Times. It's rubbed me the wrong way. And as someone who's had my own fights with the New York Times...
Every day.
For once I'm on Caroline Kennedy's side. That's it, though. No more.
That's awfully nice of you to say about your possible contender. So let's pretend it's the year 2010 right now. Or let's pretend you're not waiting till 2010. Right. What would you say today about your qualifications versus Caroline's?
My life experience, I grew up in working class neighborhoods. My father was a cop. I worked my way through college, went to high school and college in Brooklyn, worked over here in the Railway Express on 10th Avenue, went to law school, raised a family, lived in the same home for 40 years. And I've been in Congress 16 years. I've gotten hundreds of millions of dollars in Homeland Security funding. I've been with the troops in Iraq, been with the troops in Afghanistan and Bosnia. I understand these issues. I've been fighting for New York my whole life. Caroline Kennedy has never held a job. Never held a job in her entire life.
I just don't know how you get all that on one page, and resumes have to go on one page. But that's probably for you to pick the font size. Right. And my last question to you, Rudy Giuliani is for your candidacy, huh?
Yeah, Rudy and I have had several meetings. He is supporting me 100%. He and I have known each other for over 40 years. We're great friends, and yeah, his support means a lot to me.
All right, Congressman Peter King, thanks for coming in.
Happy New Year.
Hey, back at you.
You too.
There you go.